What does pride mean to you?
First of all, it's an important statement, but it's also one hell of a party, okay?
It's just so great to have you here. And as the Queen of Eurovision, how's it feel to sit here knowing that you have become Eurovision history?
Well, you know, it's surreal still. I mean, it's like every now and then I'm like, oh, I'm a queen. And then I'm like, really, did I win? Oh, I'm a queen. Oh, I won. You know, it's like back and forth all the time. I mean, that was just amazing, that moment. Josh, it was just, this whole journey has been just crazy, beautiful. Never, ever have I experienced something like this.
And I think what's so amazing about it is that Eurovision is such a space and community that says everyone is welcome. No matter how you identify, no matter what type of music you want to perform, no matter what kind of fan you are. How has being part of that community really empowered you as a person, do you think?
Oh God, it's like it has empowered me because I've always felt appreciated and accepted for who I am. The thing is, before the Eurovision, before even the Melody Festival, I was like a struggling artist, Josh, and I was just like knocking on every community's door like that I could find, like, and you know, and wherever I went, they're like, no, we don't. We're too cool. You're not cool enough. And I was like, and then I knocked at the LGBT community store and like, come on, guys. I know I'm barefoot. I know you hardly can see me. I'm a little bit weird. Yeah. Could I be here? Could I hang with you guys? You're like, yeah, come on in. You know, can you imagine, like, and that's when Euphoria happened. So you see what I mean? Like, that wouldn't even happen if it wasn't for the community, which is me, which is you, which is like all of us, you know. So it's like being home, you know.
That is so true. And you are about to take Eurovision home next year. And it's just a casual celebratory year for Sweden, because it's 50 years since ABBA won Eurovision Song Contest with Waterloo. Now, in my head, I want to manifest something right here, right now with you. I want you, ABBA, together on that stage. Can we make this happen?
Well, you know, we have to send it out to the universe. Like, you know, they can figure out how, but just like, let's send it out. Wouldn't that be nice? Stage diving with ABBA? Like, hey!
You and ABBA like crowd surfing through the arena is a vision that we need.
That's not a sexy look, though. We're like legs and hands, like all over, like, you know. Oh God, yeah. But that would be amazing, wouldn't it? Like just to stand on stage and just sing together.
Well, I mean, you're definitely going to be serving up looks. We know that for sure. And I mean, we're going to have to talk about the nails, because did you have any mishaps with those nails? Because I would be permanently nervous I was going to poke my eye out or someone else's eye out or cause myself serious injury with those nails.
Yeah, it was some serious injuries on me. Like, I had scratches all over my body because they were so sharp. They were made out of stone, you know. They were like 3D, but they had all these stones pointing in different directions. So you can imagine when I was dancing and like no, you know, so I had like scratches. Like, who scratched me? Like, it was me. Like, I was like, but it's just so, yeah. But I mean, that whole nail story was like, I had a pair of nails for each and every performance, and there were no stick-ons. I was not using that because they really had to be, you know, on. Otherwise they'll fall off, you know, because I'm moving so aggressively. You know, it might not seem like that, but you know, when you're doing this one and you want to be. So it was like it took 30 minutes to put them on, like ding 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 ding, 30 minutes for it to dry. This is before the actual performance, but then it was like 1 or 2 hours to take them off. Okay.
What?
So almost after every performance, while everybody else was sleeping, I was like, with my nail person, I'm like, yeah, okay, whatever. They're like, why are you doing this? Can't you just do it without the nails? I'm like, it has to be there, so just go. Yeah. I'm doing it for the art, okay?
You're like, it's part of the look. Do you not understand?
Don't you understand?
Stand.
No, but But it was intense sometimes, you know. You go to sleep around 2, 3 in the night just because you had to take them off, really, the old-fashioned way.
Oh my god, imagine sleeping with those and waking up to find yourself like slightly impaled in the eye.
Yes, exactly. My God.
You know what? Sometimes beauty is pain.
Yeah.
Clearly, when it comes to those nails.
Yeah. But you know, honestly, like they asked me like, why are you wearing the nails? It's like because they enhance the movements, you know. So that was my real reason to why I was wearing them. Of course, I love nails, but whenever, you know, when you move with your hands, you know, you can see everything. You see what I mean? I mean, this is without nails, and when you have nails, it's almost like feathers, you know.
Oh, I love that. Hypnotic. You were getting those votes in with those nails. You were like, come to me, cool.
I'm like, keep it coming. Keep it coming.
I love it. But not only are you officially a Eurovision icon, you are certainly an LGBTQIA plus icon. I mean, the community loves you, and you are such an amazing part of that community. And it is Pride Month. Ding, ding, ding. What does Pride mean to you?
First of all, it's an important statement. But it's also one hell of a party. Okay? So, I mean, it means everything, because it's, as I said, also with the Eurovision community, which is like, it's actually the LGBT community, to be honest. Like, this is a place where you accept it. So I love it because, I mean, it's part of me, and it is actually me, to be honest. So, I mean, it's important because of that, because it's just important. I just feel at home in this space.
And you can see that. When do you think you have been proudest of yourself?
I think it's when I seriously see that I haven't compromised the least bit. I've been completely truthful and authentic to myself and my surroundings. No, that's when I'm like, yes, I didn't bail out on my spirit, you know.
That is so special, because I think you've achieved so many things and so many accolades and huge history-making accolades. But for you to sit here and say that's the moment you've been proudest of yourself, that is what true success is all about, isn't it?
It is. It really is. It really is. I mean, you can't appreciate success if you know that you compromise on yourself, you know. Don't you want to get to know yourself, really? Because you're so unique. There's no one like you. Every one of us is so unique. We have our colors. Don't you want to explore that? Don't you want to, you know, who are you? Like, what do you like? What do you do? How would you do it? Like, you know, instead of being somebody else's idea of what you're supposed to be, you're your own idea. You mold your own life, you know, almost like a painting. And how would you paint that? You know, whenever you're compromising yourself, you know, you just take a step away from you painting your own format, like your own story, or your own, like, you know, it's like writing your own book. How would you want it to be?
I love that. That is so beautifully put. And we all go on that journey towards discovering ourselves and our identity. What have been some like key turning points in you coming to understand yourself and facing your identity and facing yourself and discovering yourself?
I think one huge turning point for me was, I know it sounds corny but it was actually Euphoria. Because the things that I did before that, I was compromising so much, you know, trying to fulfill everybody else's idea of me. At some point it gets physically painful, you know, especially if you're that type of creator there's no separation. I don't believe that it is a separation between your creativity and yourself, you know. It's you can't say I'm an artist here and then I'm a private person here. It's like, what? You know, it's you. It's one person. So with Euphoria, I decided, because I had gone through so much pain, physical pain, because I knew in my heart I was compromising, and like, you know, and so I said to myself, like, okay, regardless of if it works or do not work, I feel fear, but still I will do what I really feel like I want to do. And so I created Euphoria without anybody knowing anything about it, because that was what I said. Like, I'm going to create this and you're not allowed to see anything. I don't want anybody's opinion about anything. I created it. And then you can imagine at the time, being barefoot and, you could hardly see me. People just, they threw fear at you. Like, it's never going to work, and this is actually the challenge. This is how you really build up a self-confidence. When I won in Stockholm, I remember standing on stage and looking out and gazing out at the audience. And at that moment, I realized it was almost like this voice in my head saying, see what I mean? When you're following your intuition, you don't have to understand how it's gonna, you see what I mean? It's so powerful when you go on that gut feeling. Everything that happened before that was basically saying, like, it's never gonna work. But you went on your gut feeling, and you trusted that. Still feeling fear, but so that was a changing moment, because at that time I said, I promised myself, I will never question that first thought or feeling that I have, The mind tend to do that. We feel like, oh, that would be nice, but maybe I shouldn't do it. Really, it's such a bad idea. No, I think I'm going to skip. You see? So that was a changing moment for me. Because from that day on, regardless of if I would fail or not fail, whatever, I would go on that path.
It's so interesting because so many of us compromise ourselves in so many different ways. For you, how were you compromising yourself before that moment?
Just trying to fit in, Really what happened was not accepting who I was, So trying to fit in, because there will always be people around you wanting you to be a certain way, having these ideas of you. This is right, this is wrong, And it's natural to try to fit in because it's about feeling safe, I don't want to be alone, all of us trying to really, it's all about love, love me, I'll be whatever you want me to be, just love me, But what we really don't understand is like the loving yourself, and then the people that are supposed to be there and love you will love you too.
I mean, you came out as bisexual a couple of years ago, and that was a huge moment where you literally face the world. You go, this is who I am and this is how I identify, and it doesn't matter about what anyone else thinks. How empowering was that moment for you to sit on a public stage and be able to say that?
It wasn't that I found out, because I always knew. I knew that if I would meet a woman that I think is beautiful and that I have, I would accept that, and I would go for that, because you can't really. Yeah, so it was just natural. It wasn't like I've come out, It wasn't like that, because it was always there. It was just they asked me a question. I'm like, of course. So do you mean that you're bisexual? I guess. Yeah. It's like.
It's like, that is it. Take it or leave it.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. That's what I'm trying. Exactly.
And I love this sense of you from even just like seeing you on stage and talking to you today. You feel like you're such a person who has such a strong sense of themselves and who they are. How have you worked on your own mental strength to get to that place?
That's an interesting question. I just think that life put me and put us in situations that is strengthening the mental strength. You know what I mean? Like the way I see painful situations, it could be a bad childhood, it could be whatever. These situations, you can use it to your advantage because they strengthen you. If you use it the right way. I see those challenges that I've had in my life like beautiful things, to be honest. This is the way I look at it, because I'm like, thank you just taught me that. Thank you just taught me that. And so all these challenges has actually been strengthening me. It's not the soft situations, the loving situations that give you this mental strength. It's actually those situations that, where you're like, what the did you just, the challenges, So everything from just not, as a child, I was like, different, and just having a first challenge of not belonging. That was a challenge, but I used it. I used it because, it strengthened me. It just empowered me to be like, this is me. And I accept me for me, So it's all about how you see these challenges. And that's why I'm thankful to them, because that's my mental strength. Pain is actually a good thing, if you ask me. If you use it the right way, constructively, and then you move on. Of course, don't stay in pain, okay? Don't stay in pain. That's not what I'm saying.